You shouldn't have listened.
I should have been alone out there. I know I should have been alone. But someone else kept turning on the light. I was the winter maintenance tech for Hale's Inlet Light off the coast of Maine. Not the famous postcard lighthouse, the other one. The one they shut down after the Coast Guard automated all the beacons. I wasn't a keeper. Nobody's been a keeper there in decades. I just went once a month to check the panels, slap the rust, log the humidity, keep the place from collapsing. But in January, the light started running again. By itself. That wasn't possible. There's no live power in the upper housing. And it wasn't just on, it was rotating. That lantern was tracking something in the water. You have to understand how wrong that is. The head, the lantern room, it used to spin on a geared motor that swept that beam across the ocean in a predictable rhythm, left to right to warn ships. But when I saw it that first night, it didn't sweep. It followed. Slow, precise, like a spotlight on a stage. It was watching something. That's why I went back. That's why I stayed. I signed for the keys, loaded the skiff, and crossed in chop that made me feel like my spine was full of ice water. Wind coming off the Atlantic felt like shaved glass. And the whole time I'm getting closer, I'm thinking, this is fine, this is electrical, this is vandalism, this is a prank, this is nothing. Then the tower came into view. Paint stripped, iron spine showing through, windows black. The catwalk railing bent in two places where storms had slammed driftwood into it. All normal for off-season. Not normal. The lantern room was lit. Warm, yellow, old-style filament glow. Manual era, 1940s. That bulb hasn't been inside the assembly for years. We keep LEDs in cold boxes downstairs now. I killed the skiff motor and just let myself drift the last few feet so I could listen. And under all that, under the chop, under the creak of ladder chains and metal expanding in the cold, I heard it. Someone was moving around up there. Walking. Floorboards. Slow. Deliberate. Weight shifting. I should have called it in. Should have radioed. Should have told Harbor Patrol we've got squatters on federal property and I do not get paid enough to be horror movie curious. Instead, I tied off and climbed. I don't even know why. I just remember thinking, if that old lens is actually running, they're going to blame me on the paperwork. The iron stairs inside the tower don't go straight up. They spiral. Tight, steep. Every step groans in a way you feel through your legs. The tower is hollow brick and salt stink and condensation that always tastes like coins if it hits your tongue. At the first landing, I saw something that made no sense.
The logbook was open. Nobody uses the logbook anymore. It's just there because they don't throw anything away. The last real ink in it was from 1998, but now there were fresh pages filled in. January 12th, January 13, January 14, in halting block letters, all caps, like someone with gloves on, or someone whose hands were stiff. Entry in 1709 hours. Beam checked. Rotation normal. Visibility long. Fog east. There is someone in the water. There is someone in the water. There is someone in the water. 3 lines, all identical.
I felt a chill go down my arms so hard my hands shook. I whispered, without meaning to, "Who wrote this?" The page below that one was torn out. Not ripped. Torn, slowly, peeled, careful. Someone didn't want the next part read. I kept going. By the second landing, the smell changed. It wasn't salt anymore. It was old lantern oil, warm metal, worn canvas, a smell that doesn't exist in modern towers. You get that smell if a person has been living in a lighthouse, the old way. Food heating on paraffin, clothes steamed dry against a radiator. That's when I understood the wrongness in my stomach. This place felt occupied. But the Coast Guard cleared out Hale's Inlet light in 2003. Nobody since. Nobody allowed since. And that was when the light cut out. Just dead. No fade, no flicker. 1 second the stairwell was full of the warm spill from above. Next second I was blind. That's when I heard the voice. Above me, foot of the lantern room, right where the last turn of the stairs ends. "You're late." Not angry, not surprised, just tired. Something about that tone almost broke me, like whoever said it had been waiting for me, personally. I tried to answer. I did, but my throat just locked. All that came out was air. They spoke again. "Get the door. The glass is sticking." That wasn't a request. That was muscle memory. That was a person who thinks I'm their co-worker. I told myself, okay. You just go up there. You tell whoever this is they're trespassing. You both go back down. You get names. And you go home. Then you tell your supervisor the lock needs to be rekeyed. That was the plan. God, I was stupid. I went up. The lantern room hatch was wedged. It always sticks in the cold. I leaned into it with my shoulder and it finally gave, and I stepped into that circular room of glass and ocean and freezing air. And I saw nobody. Just the lens, and the sea, and the black ripple of water below like animal skin. I turned a slow circle. Nobody crouched behind the service cabinet. Nobody under the instrument shelf. Nobody standing between the framing and the glass. But something was moving. The old brass service lantern, the backup one mounted on a hook, was swinging, gently, back and forth. Back and forth. Not high, just enough to keep a warm crescent of light grazing the room, like someone had just been holding it, like someone had just set it back on its hook and let it go. And the chain was still trembling. I whispered, "Where are you?" And the swinging lantern stopped, mid-swing, like a hand caught it in the air. It didn't slow. It didn't arc. It just froze. The air pressure in the room dropped so fast my ears popped. I had to swallow twice just to hear myself think. Then, from somewhere below me, not on the stairs anymore, but below the floor of the lantern room, I heard fists on metal. Pounding, not frantic. Rhythmic, like a distress code, like someone locked inside the structure. Something snapped in me then. All the calm, all the "it's fine, it's explainable," gone. I dropped to my knees and pressed my ear to the cold grate. And I heard it. clear, human, muffled through inches of rusted iron. Do you see her? I jerked back so hard I slammed the back of my head into the lens housing. What? What? Who? The voice below. In the water. She's been calling. We can't leave until she's in. That's when I made the worst decision of my life. I looked out. The horizon was colorless, just that winter Atlantic slate. But close to the rocks, right below the catwalk, I saw movement in the surf. Pale, smooth, not thrashing, just rising and falling with the pull. I told myself it was driftwood, foam, a seal. Then it turned. It turned its face toward the lighthouse. There are moments your body knows it's seeing something it does not have a name for, and every muscle you have seizes at once. Her face, if I can call it that, was wrong in two ways. One, it was too white. Not pale like cold skin, white like light catching the underside of a wave. Like reflection, not flesh. And two, there was nothing above the mouth. No eyes, no nose. Everything above that line was just water. Water, shaped like a head. And her mouth was open, wider than a person's jaw should open, like she'd been screaming underwater for a very, very long time. I felt something in me break. Nope. Nope. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm leaving. I spun for the hatch, grabbed the railing, and that's when I felt the hand. Right at the back of my neck. Cold. Wet. Heavy. Not grabbing. Not choking. Just holding. Like a coworker steadying you against a bad fall. And right in my ear, too close, too calm, we did our part. Log it. I don't remember the stairs. I don't remember the skiff. I don't remember getting back to shore. All I remember is my supervisor's office, and me shaking so hard I couldn't sign the damn report. He kept saying, "Slow down, you're not making sense. There hasn't been a rotation keeper at Hale's Inlet for 22 years. And then he showed me. He pulled a laminated sheet from the old incident file. It was a photocopy of the final Lighthouse entry from January 14th, 2003, the day they automated and locked it for good. Entry out, 1709 hours, beam checked, rotation normal, visibility low, fog east. There is someone in the water. There is someone in the water. There is someone in the water. And under that, in handwriting that didn't match the rest, we hear you. We see you. We can't bring you in. He tapped the sheet and said, "That's the night the last 2 keepers went missing. Skiff found. Tower locked from the inside. They never found bodies." I told him, "That's not possible. I heard them. Today." He looked at me for a long time like he was deciding something. Then he said this, and I need you to hear me. Sometimes the light turns itself on in winter so they don't feel alone out there. And that is why I don't go near the water at night. I don't look at reflections on the surf. I don't look if something calls from below the rocks. If you ever see an unlisted light sweeping the coastline in Maine in the off-season, please, please, don't answer if it sounds like help. It's not help. It's invitation. This doesn't end here. There is something else happening somewhere else. I watched myself walk past me last week, and I've been stuck inside this lighthouse alone for 11 days. I'm not crazy. Say that with me. I'm not crazy. I've done isolation tours before. I've done no-sleep runs on search and rescue boats. I've done worse. I know what dehydration hallucinations feel like. I know what carbon monoxide symptoms feel like. This wasn't that. This was literal, physical, recorded. I'm stationed at Kilnpoint Light, New Jersey coast during hurricane season prep. The job this time of year? Confirm backup systems in case the main grid goes. Battery banks, emergency repeaters, foghorn redundancy, rotation motors. Rotation motors are old. The glass that wraps the lantern is mounted to this circular brace that turns on a central drive, so the signal sweeps a perfect interval. Even though they're mostly automated, you still have to go up and check for salt scoring and fractures, because if the glass shatters during a storm, you're blind on the channel. So every 2 hours I climb and inspect. It's boring. It's mechanical. It's safe. Until day 5. Day 5, 2:17 a.m. I do my check. I take my phone and do a full 360-degree video of the lantern glass from inside the catwalk, which I always do, in case there are microfractures I don't catch with my own eyes. I'm talking into the phone like normal. Timestamp 2:17, northeast sweep clear, salt load heavy, report for, etc. Then I turn and see myself walking the catwalk. In the reflection. Let me be specific. The lantern room is glass all around. At night, when the beacon is in standby and I'm using just the red maintenance light, the glass becomes mirror-like. You can faintly see the ocean, but mostly you see yourself. Except, I was seeing 2 of me. One was me, standing there, filming, right arm up, phone out. The other was also me, same jacket, same beanie, same neck bruise from hauling chain 2 days earlier, same stubble. But that me was outside on the catwalk. And he wasn't filming. He was walking with his hands on the rail, head down. Like he was exhausted. Like he'd been out there a long time. I froze. I didn't understand. I did a fast turn. Real turn. In real space, and there was nobody out there. The catwalk was empty, just spray blowing off the Atlantic and hitting the glass in sheets. I turned back to the reflection. He was still there, and he had stopped walking, and he was looking up, right at me. Not the me holding the phone, the me in the reflection. Like there were 2 panes of reality and I was only in one of them. When I tell you my legs went weak, I mean I had to grab the center column to keep from going down. I whispered, "Who are you?" It came out like air, and my reflection mouthed it back. Not the one with the phone, the one outside, the one that shouldn't exist. We spoke at the same time. Who are you? Perfect sync, perfect terror. perfect wrong. I bolted. I don't care how that sounds. I went straight down the access stairs, nearly slid off the last 6 rungs, slammed the hatch and sat in the generator room with my back against stacked fuel drums like a scared animal. You don't come out here expecting ghosts. It's all radio and metal and procedures. The scariest thing is usually slipping on algae and breaking your jaw. You don't expect to see yourself looking tired of being you. I tried to rationalize. Reflection delay? Refraction? The curve of the glass bending my image back at me in some weird parallax? Sure, fine, science, whatever. Then the note slid under my door. I didn't hear footsteps, didn't hear boots on the steel grating. Just this slow scratch, paper sliding across floor paint. I stared at it for a good 30 seconds before I picked it up, like it might burn me. It was ripped from the on-site logbook, grease-stained, wet at the edges, like someone with damp sleeves had handled it. My handwriting. My exact handwriting. Same block letters, same bad R, same way I cross 7s because of an old captain that drilled it into me. The note said, "This is day 11. You think it's day 5. Do not sleep again in the beacon room. You're not alone when you dream up there." I laughed. It wasn't a ha-ha laugh. It was the kind of laugh where you feel your teeth. Day 11? That's stupid. I had food for 9 days. I counted my inventory. I had more than half of it left. My internal clock might blur out here, yeah, but not by 6 days. Still, that line about sleeping in the beacon room, that hit hard, because I had crashed up there for 20 minutes earlier, curled up behind the service cabinet like a raccoon because the storm noise below was giving me a headache. I didn't log it because you're not supposed to sleep on duty and the paperwork lecture is awful. I stared at the note until my throat dried out. Then I did something I shouldn't have done. I went back up. The lantern room felt different, heavier, warmer than it should have been at that hour. The red maintenance light was still on, but it felt dimmer, like the air itself was thick. I aimed my phone again, not to record, just to use the front camera as a mirror so I didn't have to face the glass with my real eyes. That's when I realized there was condensation on the inside of the lantern glass, not outside where the ocean spray hits. Inside, where it should always stay dry, because moisture inside means damage. But this wasn't random condensation. It was streaked, patterned, like fingertips dragged over fogged glass. Long strokes, short taps, circles from knuckles. Someone had been touching the curve of the lens. From the inside. From my side. I went closer, against everything my bones were screaming at me. There were words, not scratched, wiped, written by clearing lines in the fog. Let me in. 4 words. Then, below that, like an afterthought, smaller, cramped, like whoever wrote it was losing strength. It's still loud out there. I couldn't breathe. In where? I whispered. In where? In where? And that's when the glass right in front of my face fogged, instantly. Like someone exhaled on it, hard. Warm breath, inches from me. And I watched, in real time, letters carve through that breath. Not out there. In you. My stomach flipped so fast I thought I'd throw up. My hands just stopped responding. I stumbled backward into the center housing and knocked my shoulder so hard it went numb to the fingertips. For a second, the whole lantern room doubled, like there were two of them, one slightly off-angle to the other. In that split second, I saw the other room. Same red light, same equipment. But in the doorway to the stairs, there was a person half collapsed against the hatch. Me. Sunken. Gray. Eyes deep like I hadn't slept in a month. Lips cracked white. Stubble grown past regulation. And he was staring at me with this empty patience, like he'd run out of panic days ago, and now he was just waiting. He lifted his hand, slow, shaking, and pressed his palm against his side of the glass. I didn't move. He mouthed something I couldn't hear, over and over, slow, careful, making sure I'd get it. 3 more nights. Then that version of me went out. Just folded knees first, then shoulders like a puppet with strings cut. And the second image of the lantern room, gone, snapped back. I was alone again, except now I was sobbing. I don't remember starting to cry, but my whole face was wet. You want to know the worst part? It was day 11, when they finally motored out to relieve me. Radio check missed, protocol, they said. I was sunburned in places that shouldn't have been exposed in 5 days. My beard was wrong, my food logs were wrong, the stove ashtray was wrong, my body clock was wrong. My relief guy Carl went pale when he saw me and said, curious, "Jesus, man, did you even sleep?" I showed them the footage, the duplicate me on the catwalk, the breathing on the glass. You know what transferred? Nothing. Videos corrupted, 217 clip jumps like bad VHS and shows static. The glass shots just looked like blurry condensation. The note? The note looks like I wrote it with my non-dominant hand while shaking. Their conclusion? Isolation stress plus low sleep plus barometric pressure headaches. That's cute. They don't stay overnight. They don't hear it. Because there's one last detail and I need you to listen to me. At night, between 2 and 3, when the tide slams the outer pylons and the whole tower hums, you can hear someone walking the catwalk. Not fast, not panicked, just pacing. Hands on the rail, head down, like they're counting nights. And if you fall asleep in the lantern room, you will not wake up where you think you should. You'll wake up somewhere one layer off, one rotation to the left, one cycle deeper. And once you start drifting between them, it's hard to come back to the right one. So if you ever get stationed at Kilnpoint, if you ever think, I'll just close my eyes up here for 20 minutes, don't. Because something out there is tired. Something out there wants inside. And it already knows how you move. This doesn't end here. There is something else happening somewhere else. We were the ones who heard it first. Not the locals, not the tourists. Us. The auxiliary volunteers. People like me. The kind of people the county calls when money is tight and storms are bad. Hey, can you run comms? Hey, can you sit overnight in the old keeper's house and log wind readings? That kind of thing. We don't get uniforms, we get clipboards and liability forms. And on October 3rd, 2024, the night before the nor'easter, I was assigned to the old Marrow Point light station on Lake Superior. Yeah, lake, not ocean. People laugh when I say lighthouse and lake in the same sentence, but you've never seen Superior throw a tantrum. It kills slow, cold, clean, with a smile. Anyway, Marrow Point Light sits on a breakwater that's technically condemned. The main light is off now. There's a low-power hazard beacon still running, just this weak amber pulse, not even a real sweep, to warn boats off the rocks when visibility goes to nothing. My job was just to sit in the keeper's house with the handheld radio and log any swimmers, any kayaks, any look-at-me TikTok people trying to film the waves for clout. Stupid duty. Easy hours. Until 1:13. At 1:13, the beacon changed. Not brighter, not louder, just different in tone. The pulse went from blip, blip to blip, 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 like a heartbeat. I wrote it down. 1:13, anomalous double pulse. At 1:16, the radio picked up something the sheet says it shouldn't be able to pick up. Not NOAA, not Coast Guard, not Marine Band at all. It sounded like whispering, underwater whispering. Dead flat, no distortion from distance, no wind interference, no microphone hiss, just close whispering like a mouth was pressed against the radio grill from the inside. I leaned in. At first I thought it wasn't English, a lot of long vowels, like someone trying to talk while exhaling. But then I caught one word. Cold. Over and over. Cold. 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 Then another. Inside. Cold. Inside. Cold. Inside. Cold. Cold inside. Cold inside. Faster and faster, until it just became this slurred, pleading sound like someone begging through chattering teeth. I swallowed and said into the radio, "Marrow Point Auxiliary, copy, identify source." The radio went silent. The beacon went back to its normal single pulse. And I sat there alone in that tiny keeper's house with peeling wallpaper and sand on the floorboards thinking, okay, that was a prank. Someone with a scanner. Okay, stop shaking. You're okay. At 1:22, I saw the girl, out on the breakwater. Bare feet, white nightgown, hair plastered to her head from the spray, skin gray-blue in the beacon flash, head tilted down like she was sleepwalking. I almost broke my ankle sprinting for the door. I grabbed the emergency float harness off the wall and tore out into the wind. When Superior is mad, the air doesn't smell like ocean. It smells like iron. It smells like something that's been sleeping a long time getting rolled over. The waves were slamming. I'm not supposed to be on the breakwater in that weather without spikes. I didn't care. That girl was gonna get pulled in and turned into ice. I kept yelling, "Hey! Hey! Stop! Stop!" She didn't react. But the beacon did. That pathetic amber thing on top of the tower. It surged bright white, painful white, blinding white, for 1 second. And in that 1 second, I didn't see one girl. I saw 9, all in white, all barefoot, all walking in a slow single-file line along the breakwater. and every single one of them had their heads tilted at the exact same angle. Like marionettes. Like they were being LED. I skidded to a stop so hard I actually cut my palms on the concrete. My throat just locked. My legs refused to go forward. Because in that same white flash, and I swear this, I saw that the water wasn't just water. There were hands in it. So many hands, reaching up between the rocks. Not splashing, not grabbing, just open, like waiting to be held. That's when I realized what I was looking at. Not girls walking out. Girls being walked out. Something was guiding them, herding them, to the very tip of the breakwater, to the base of the dead light. To me. I stumbled backward, screaming into the wind. "Stay there! Don't move! I'm coming to you!" The first girl finally raised her head. Her eyes were closed. Her mouth was moving. And even over the water and the wind and the pounding of my own heart in my ears, I swear to you I could hear her whispering the same words from the radio. Cold inside. Cold inside. I don't have the language to tell you the feeling that hit me then. It wasn't just fear. It was grief, like being told to grieve something you couldn't name. And under that grief, guilt, like I was late, like they'd been waiting out there for me to open the door. I ran, not toward them, back. I hate myself for that, I do, every day. I left them there. I left them walking toward that rusted tower like a procession. But when I got back to the keeper's house, the door was already open, lights already on, radio already turned to channel 9, which I did not touch. And the logbook, the official county logbook, had a brand new line added while I was gone. Not in my handwriting. Not in any human handwriting. More like each letter had been carved by knife tip, shaking knife tip. Request received. Door will be opened. We will bring them in this time. My stomach turned to ice. Because that wasn't a promise. That was a correction. This time. Like last time, we didn't. Like last time, we failed. Like this lighthouse, this half-dead, underfunded, forgotten structure had made a mistake and was fixing it. I grabbed the radio and screamed, terrified, "Who is this? Who is this? Who are you bringing in?" The beacon outside flashed white again. Not amber, white. And I heard footsteps on the breakwater stop, all at once. Then, something else. Something underneath that silence, under the waves, under the wind. It sounded like a door opening underwater, pressure equalizing, like a seal being broken. Like something big just got let inside the world. I did not step back out there. Call me a coward. I locked the keeper's house. I sat with my back against the door until sunrise, with the radio in my lap and the taste of rust in my mouth, and my whole body shaking so hard my molars hurt. And at 6:40, when the first daylight finally rolled ugly and gray over Superior, the breakwater was empty. No barefoot girls. No footprints on the wet concrete. No sign of anything except the usual gull crap and lakeweed. Except There were 9 wet circles on the keeper's floor. 9. In a perfect, slow arc from the doorway to the wall, and then just gone, like they'd walked through the wall. All about the size of bare feet, small bare feet, child feet. Each one pointed inward, not out, like something finally let them inside. I never went back to Marrow Point. I told the county I'd buy my own gas before I'd ever sit in that house again. They can laugh, they can tell stories, they can call me dramatic. But listen to me, please. When a beacon changes its pulse, do not go out on the breakwater. If you see people walking in a line toward a dead light, do not interfere. They're not walking for rescue. The light is calling them home, and you are not invited. This doesn't end here. There is something else happening somewhere else. He kept knocking on my door. But he's been dead since 1986. North Sparrow Light, Outer Banks, North Carolina. Locals don't like talking about it. Tourists pretend it's cute haunted. Bloggers call it cursed, which is hilarious because cursed would honestly be a downgrade from what it actually is. I was staying in the assistant keeper's quarters, the little salt-worn cottage next to the main tower, because I needed somewhere cheap to disappear for a while. My therapist called it a reset. I called it I can't sleep in my own apartment anymore without hearing the ceiling whisper. Different framing, same idea. The cottage is on stilts. Everything smells like salt and damp rope. The shower spits brown water for 5 seconds before it clears. I loved it immediately. Night 1 was normal. Wind across the dunes, old house noises, my own heartbeat in my ear because I was finally away from everyone. Night 2, 2:43 a.m. Someone knocked on the door. 3 knocks, slow, patient, not aggressive, not urgent, just, I know you're awake. I sat up in bed, heart going nuts, thinking it was some drunk fisherman who got turned around in the dark. I grabbed the little brass lamp because North Sparrow doesn't have reliable overhead power after 10 p.m., and I walked barefoot across cold, sandy floorboards. I opened the door. Nobody. Just darkness and salt air and the lighthouse 40 yards away, flashing its slow pattern out to sea. I exhaled, told myself, it's wood expansion. It's you dreaming with your eyes open. Go back to bed. Night 3, 2:43 a.m., same knock. 3, slow, patient. This time I didn't get up. I just whispered, wrong cottage. Silence. Then through the door. Didn't mean to scare you, miss. I stopped breathing. The voice wasn't modern. I don't know how to explain that. It had that old Carolina softness. Polite, careful. Words rounded off at the edges, like people sound in recordings from the 70s. I said, "Who are you?" He answered immediately, too immediately, like he'd been waiting years to be asked. "Assistant keeper, ma'am, Benjamin Cole." logging on behalf of headkeeper Reynolds. Weather watch, 2:43 in the morning. Visibility fair. No storm warning posted. Shivers up my arms. The back of my neck felt cold, because he hadn't spoken to me. He'd just recited, like a check-in, like a routine. Like he was knocking on the headkeeper's door to announce the watch change, and I'd answered instead. I swallowed. "Benjamin, what do you need?" Silence. Then, very quietly, "Permission to step in, ma'am? It's cold tonight." I don't know why, but everything in me screamed no. I didn't even think it. My mouth just moved. "You can't come in, Benjamin." Silence again. Then, and this part I'll never forget, a soft laugh. Not offended, not angry. Heartbroken. Like I'd just repeated something he'd heard too many times. "Yes, ma'am," he whispered. "Understood, ma'am. I'll hold watch outside." 3 slow footsteps on the porch boards. A shift of weight against the railing, and then nothing. No footsteps walking away, no sand crunch, just outside presence. Like a shape now stood to the right of my door, just out of sight, hands in pockets, looking at the sea. I didn't sleep after that. I sat in the chair by the window with the brass lamp burning low and watched the lighthouse. North Sparrow's light pattern is unique. Long, long, short. Long, long, short. Sailors memorize that stuff. It's like each tower has its accent. Around 3:30 a.m., the pattern hiccuped. Long, long, short. Long, 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 short. Tiny but off. Outside, the presence shifted. I swear I heard him mutter, "No, no, no, hold steady now." I whispered, "Benjamin," before I could stop myself. Silence. Then, "Ma'am, permission to report something strange." "Report," I said, because I didn't know what else to say. "The light," he whispered. "It's calling in weather that ain't there. Chills everywhere." I said, "Weather doesn't answer when you call." He didn't laugh. "It does now." I didn't understand what he meant until the morning. When I woke up, if you can call that jumpy half-sleep woke up, the porch rail was wet. Not dew, not spray. Wet like somebody had stood there in the rain for hours. Except there hadn't been rain. But the boards were soaked in a perfect outline, like shoulders had leaned, like elbows had rested. 2 dark ovals where 2 hands had gripped the railing tight enough to leave actual dents in soft saltwood. And embedded in those dents, and this is where I almost packed my bag and left, were flakes of paint. Old paint. White lead paint. Gloss type. The kind you haven't been legally allowed to use for decades. The Lighthouse stopped using that kind of paint in 1987. Benjamin Cole died in 1986. I checked later. I shouldn't have, but I did. I went into town, found the historical kiosk, read the little tragic loss of assistant keeper blurb next to a sun-faded photo. He drowned on station in a surprise winter surge. Witness accounts said he was last observed knocking to report the 2:43 a.m. watch change before stepping back outside to continue exposure duty. Stepping back outside. He never returned. I read that and my stomach knotted so hard I had to sit down next to the public trash can before I passed out. Because that means what I heard wasn't just a ghost saying hi. That was his last loop. Still running. Still knocking. still asking permission, still waiting outside in the cold because I said, "You can't come in, Benjamin." Night 4 is when I made the mistake. It wasn't on purpose. I was exhausted. I was on edge. I just broke. 2:43 a.m., 3 knocks. I didn't even wait. I just whispered, "You can come in, Benjamin." The air pressure in the room changed. You know when an elevator stops on your floor and the doors are about to open? That weird air shift? It felt like that in my chest. The brass lamp guttered low like a breath had passed over it, and I heard wet fabric. Not footsteps. Wet fabric, moving, dripping on wood. It smelled like old rope and algae and stale engine oil. I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't turn and look. My whole body went heavy, like sleep paralysis while awake. He didn't speak at first. He just stood behind my chair, close. Closer than anyone should stand if they aren't allowed to touch you. And I felt this emptiness coming off him. This hollow exhaustion. Not evil, not rage, just done. Bone deep done. When he finally did talk, his mouth was so close to my ear I felt the cold of it in my jaw. "We can't leave, ma'am." Tears. Immediate. I didn't even feel them start. My face was just wet. "I tried," he whispered. "We all tried. But the lantern keeps calling weather that ain't there. And every time we answer, it takes another one of us back inside. It won't let go. It keeps the watch going. We're so tired, man." Something in my chest cracked. I whispered, "Benjamin, what do you want me to do?" He exhaled. And then he said something I wish I could forget. "I want you to stop answering when we knock." Silence. Just my heartbeat. And the slow, distant flash of the lighthouse through the window. He went on, voice breaking now, that low coastal drawl splintering into something wet and ruined. "Please, ma'am. Please don't open the door no more. Please don't talk back. Please don't let us in. Every time you do, it resets the watch. It starts us over. We gotta stand out there again. We gotta freeze again. We gotta log it again. We ain't never off duty if you keep answering." My throat hurt. I whispered, "Benjamin, I'm sorry. I didn't know." He said so soft I almost missed it, "That's why I'm asking nice." And the weight lifted. The smell faded. The lamp steadied. I sat there shaking, hugging myself, ugly crying into my shirt. 2:43 a.m., night 5, the knock came. I covered my ears. I didn't move. It came again, 3 knocks, patient, tired. I bit down on my fist so I wouldn't answer. The knocks stopped. "If you go to North Sparrow now, if you rent that cottage because you think it'll be quirky to stay next to a haunted lighthouse, you'll hear it. You'll hear 3 knocks at 2:43 a.m. polite and steady. The first night, you'll feel guilty for not answering. The second night, you'll feel scared. By the third night, if you're like me, you'll feel something worse. You'll feel compassion. You'll want to open that door and say, "Benjamin, come inside, it's warm. You can rest." Please don't. Please don't reset his watch. Please don't trap him there again. Let them finish. Let the tired ones finally walk past the door. Because the lighthouse doesn't just guide ships. It holds people. It keeps them on duty forever. And if you keep answering that knock, one night it won't be Benjamin. One night, it'll be a voice that sounds exactly like you, asking to be let back in. This doesn't end here. There is something else happening somewhere else.